This is Learn from Others, where we interview a cross-section of successful individuals so you can learn from their experiences, achievements, and even their mistakes. We ask 4 questions that will educate and inspire. Greg Stanley will be your guide as we join our guest on a journey from adolescent daydreaming to success in today's world. Join us on this adventure as we learn from others together.
Well, welcome to Learn from Others, where we help others succeed by sharing success. I'm very excited to introduce our special guest today, Anthony Munoz. Anthony, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Really appreciate your time. Most of our audience might know what you're doing, but before we get to that point, why don't you tell us, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, I grew up in Southern California, Ontario, California, about 40 miles east of Los Angeles. And from a young kid, one of 5 kids, having 2 older brothers, 2 younger sisters, my mom raised the 5 of us by herself, working 2-3 jobs. So it was one of those things where I was introduced not only to sports at an early age, but to baseball at an early age because my 2 older brothers played baseball. And I became a big Major League Baseball fan like at the age of 6 or 7. And my childhood dream was to be a Major League Baseball player, because we didn't have a whole lot, and I loved the game, and I really started to excel quickly at baseball. Is that I didn't totally comprehend what it would mean to play in the major leagues, but part of that dream, part of that goal consisted of, well, if I make it in the major leagues, maybe I can buy my mom a house because living conditions, financially, and everything, it wasn't that good. So I thought, well, this might be the way that I can do it. So as a kid, growing up, starting at the age of 6, 7, that was what I wanted to do when I grew up. I read a lot. I loved to read, and I loved to read sports books and about different players. And so it was one of those things where, okay, what do I need to do to really stay on that path and become a Major League Baseball player? So that was my dream growing up as a kid.
So you said 2 older brothers?
Yes, I have 2 older brothers. One is 2 years older than I am, and the other is 8 years older than I am. Then I have a sister that's 13 months younger and one that's 5 years younger.
What age were you better than the one that's 2 years older at baseball and then the one that's 8 years older? When did you surpass them in skills?
Well, I surpassed them in size when I was a freshman in high school. They could no longer physically beat up on me. But, it's hard to say. I got into high school, and they both were pretty good. But when I was in high school, I was an all-state third baseman for 3 years, something that, neither one of them were able to accomplish. So, I had a pretty good high school career. As I talked about as a kid, it continued in high school. So, I don't know. I never had the speed they had because they were, they were both 5'10", 5'11", and I was, 6'6", 275 playing
Right.
third base. So I didn't have the speed, but I think I had them on the arm strength and the power. So I don't know. I think it was pretty comparable as far as those 2, my 2 older brothers and myself.
It's funny. That's a big moment when you can best your brother at anything. I remember my dad would wrestle, and I remember the time that I actually got the upper hand. So that's a big moment. Do you remember that moment?
It does. And, and I experienced that with my son, Michael. It was about at the same time, too, when he was a freshman in high school. We were wrestling on the ground. He kind of pinned me, and I'm thinking, oh, no. Okay, I think that time has come where, him at 6'5", 6'6", 270, and, I'm much older now. I better watch it now.
That's awesome. Yeah, because he's a big guy as well.
Yep.
Well, now, what was your first job, one that you felt like he has some type of responsibility?
Well, the first job is one of the brothers I was talking about, the one that was 2 years older than I am. He had a yard that he took care of. It was like right across the street from where I grew up, 2 houses over, and he would cut the grass and clean up the yard, and he handed that over to me in high school. So it was between that, cutting that yard, and then as a sophomore in high school, I was an usher at the Granada Theater there in Ontario, and I made $2 an hour. And I got my little check every week, and I kind of was dual working there with cutting the grass every so often when it needed, and then I was an usher at the theater.
You got unlimited movies too, right? As an usher.
You're right. And once in a while the manager kind of, when they were opening up the candy boxes, gave you a little snack. That my job was to walk around the theater with my flashlight, make sure everybody was quiet. They kept their feet off and I got to, sit in there, make sure they were doing that, obey him, but also get to watch movies. And then, like I said, once in a while, he would open up the box and give us a little treat with the candy now and then. And little popcorn. So there were some friends benefits that went along with working there, movies and some snacks.
And you were probably, what, 6'2", 6'4" at the time? So you probably didn't have a lot of pushback when you said, get your feet off the chair in front of you.
No, I guess my sophomore year, I was about 6'4", probably about 240, 245. So, yeah.
I'd listen to you. I know that's for sure. Now we know what you wanted to be when you grew up, which was a professional baseball player. Well, tell us, for the audience that they don't know who you are, tell us what you do today, including your career, and then also, your post-career.
Well, what I did up until several years ago, I took a little turn. Baseball it became secondary. When I was a junior in high school, I had a chance to go further my education, go to college and play college football. So I decided to go to school and play football at the University of Southern California, which was about 40 miles down the road from where I grew up, a school that I started to fall in love with at a young age, as I knew they had an excellent baseball program. So I went there to school, went there to play football, as I was much bigger by my senior in high school, about 6'6", about close to 300 pounds, and I figured the football uniform was going to fit a little better than the baseball uniform. But I did have a chance to play 1 year of baseball at UNC. So I went to USC. And, again, things were pretty tough. They didn't go accordingly the way I planned it. In 4 years at USC, I had 3 knee operations. Played one healthy season, which my, football career past college was really uncertain. I was not sure if things would even happen on the professional level, which I started to really think about once I got to USC. And, I was blessed and fortunate that, after only playing one game my senior year, I got hurt in the very first game, had surgery, rehabilitated, played in the Rose Bowl. The Cincinnati Bengals drafted me, and a lot of people said that I should give the game up. Third knee operation in 4 years. I should maybe look into doing something else. But, I still had the passion and desire to rehabilitate the third time and give it one more shot. And that one more shot was playing the Rose Bowl, which I played in the entire game my senior year in college. And then the Bengals drafted me and had a chance to play 13 years with the Bengals, which was so much fun. Made Cincinnati home. I had some great experiences in those 13 years, which led to my post-NFL career of going into broadcasting for 7 years. And then when the kids, we have 2 children, Michael and Michelle, Dee Dee and I, when they got ready to go to college, to go to school and play athletics themselves, I left broadcasting to be able to watch them, and then started a non-for-profit, started the Anthony Munoz Foundation about their sophomore, junior years in college, because I knew they were going to be graduating and moving on with life, and I helping people is a passion of mine. So here we are 17 years later, and that's what I'm doing now with my foundation, the Anthony Munoz Foundation, as we engage the tri-state area to impact youth mentally, physically, and spiritually. And so after 7 years of broadcasting, now I'm into 17 years of working non-for-profit. Then I got a couple small companies. Got a promotional, a corporate apparel company, and we do promotional items. And then we also have an agency, and we do a lot of the youth initiatives that we do with my foundation here in Cincinnati. We've been able to do in the last 7 years with the NFL, with fan development and character camps, character initiatives. So I'm keeping busy, working a lot with youth, which is a passion of mine.
You sure are.
Yeah, so it's fun. It's been a great post-NFL career.
Now, can you walk us through a little bit of the foundation? Because I know that I was looking on your Instagram today. You guys did a lot of fun stuff with kids for Christmas. Can you walk through some of the activities that you do through your foundation to benefit kids?
Yes, we do. I got 3 full-time staff, which is a very lean staff for what we do. We have a mentoring program, one-on-one mentoring program. We do about 30 kids. We do it at Padilla Roberts Academy once a week throughout the school year. And in every program we have, we build relationships and we try to do other things with them. So we have that mentoring program. We have 2 camps. People think, well, you played football, so you do football camps. Well, we teach a little bit of football. We have one in the spring with about 150 young men. We call it our IFE camp, Impact for Eternity camp. And we have football. We teach them a little football. We have chapel speakers, character speakers. We do character traits, and then we do team-building exercises. We do one in the spring, which is a pretty diverse as far as the individuals. And then we just did one about 3 weeks ago that we call our Hispanic character camp. It's 100% Hispanic. We had about 130 young men We have them for 3 days. We just pour into their lives, again, teaching them a little football character. We have a chapel speaker every day, and then we do team-building exercises. And one of the neat things we just finished here with our last 2 schools yesterday, we have a budget, and every one of our kids that goes to our program does not pay a penny. We fund everything. So we had our 3-day Hispanic character camp, and we thought it would be, as a staff, we thought it would be a neat thing to reconnect with them. So after they left camp, it was actually the 3rd of December, the last 2 weeks, we traveled around to every one of the schools that these young men represent. We pulled them out of class, and we've taken them a winter coat. And also the coach that coached them at camp wrote each one of them a personal letter. So we were able to go back to their school without them knowing it. We did not tell them. We surprised them at school with the winter coat. So that's part of our character camps. And then we do we call it our youth leadership seminar. We do a 1-day leadership seminar with anywhere from 85 to 100 high schools, anywhere from 1,000 to 1,200, 1,300 students. And it's a full day where we have motivational leadership speakers. We have breakout sessions during the day. And at the end of the day, after the long day that we've had them there, we challenge them. They have a community service challenge where they go together as a group and they initiate and put together community service projects. And this year I think we had 82 schools, 65 of the schools put together projects.
Wow.
And we'll pick 2 winners, and we'll pick 2 winners. I'll track them, and I'll give them some money to use for those their projects. And then we have one more camp, similar to the overnight camps. It's a day camp. We do for 3 days with anywhere from 300 to 450 young men and women. We do have 25% young ladies that come to our day camp. Again, the same template as our overnight camps. We teach them little football, character, team building, and we have speakers. And that follows our Hall of Fame dinner and golf tournament in June. And then in our dinner that I just mentioned, we give away anywhere from 4 to 8 $20,000 scholarships for seniors going to college, high school seniors going to college. That's our big scholarship. And then in April, we have what we call our straight A scholarship luncheon. Jeff Ruby's downtown has given us his restaurant for 17 years. We get it from 11 in the morning to 1:30. We have 9 male and 9 female finalists. And they bring their most influential teacher, parents, administrators. We have about 130 people at Jeff Ruby's, and we give away to those 18 student athletes, we give away $2,000 to $5,000 one-time scholarships. We give them a nice medallion, and then we pick a winner from the male and female group. The female gets a nice medallion, and then the male winner gets a nice ring with our logo on it. So those are the programs we run. And again, it might be a 1-day, a 3-day, or however many days, but we stay connected with the young men and women. Like once a year, we'll take, I think right now we might have 26 students in college on scholarship that we're assisting. We try to get Reds tickets. We're taking the Reds game, and we do different things with all the kids. We try to really build relationships with these young men and women. And it's been great because then after the fact, after they graduate from college and they're in the business world, they come back and they volunteer, and some have actually written checks to the foundation. But the main thing we want to see is that they can volunteer or they start themselves working with different non-for-profits or a lot of kids have started their own foundations, once they graduate from college. That's neat to see.
Wow, it really seems like all those programs are extremely robust and successful, which is incredible. Now, how long have you been doing the foundation?
We're 17 years old. I think we've raised probably close to $13 million. So yeah, we're moving into our 18th year here, so it's been a lot of fun.
That's amazing. And how do you impact them spiritually? I saw that was the 3rd tier.
So our camps, and I just talked about the overnight camps. We do present the gospel. We have chapel speakers. We give every camper a Bible. So that's part of the curriculum that we have. We have discussion groups after chapel. Our coaches, Coach Andy Oles, who just retired as the head football coach at Kings High School, has been the camp director. He's the one that coordinates putting the staff together. And usually all the coaches he brings in are very comfortable in discussions after chapel and, character talk. So that's that part of it. But, it's really neat because a lot of other programs, and that's 2 camps that we have where we have them, and, we do that. A lot of the young men and women that we honor or recognize, not by choice. I mean, it just happens that way that when we select them, they'll stand up and they'll give a nice testimony, and so it gives us a natural, relationship with them moving forward. But the two main were, the mission statement about impacting spiritually are the two overnight camps.
Well, that's great. Well, before we move on to our next question, let's take a moment to hear from our sponsors. Do you enjoy your job and find it fulfilling? Or do you spend more time wondering what if instead of what's next? If so, contact Career Spa. Career Spa has extensive programs and curriculum and understands the challenges faced by individuals in transition. They can teach these success practices to be mastered for an effective job search. Answer that what if question by contacting Career Spa and asking their experts, what's next? Contact Career Spa at careerspa.net. Talent acquisition is key to building a successful organization. Talent Connections is a professional services firm that specializes in recruiting, including executive search, contract recruiting, talent acquisition consulting, and recruitment process outsourcing. Whether you are an individual or a Fortune 100 company, Talent Connections can connect you with success. Contact them at talentconnections.net. Welcome back. As a reminder, you can check out all previous episodes at learnfromothers.org. If you're an educator or a student, you can search for podcasts by career cluster, and additional resources are under the resource tab. So, Anthony, if you could do it all over again, what would you do differently?
Really, the only thing, if you talk to a lot of guys that played in the NFL, I'm totally thankful, as I shared my situation, my injury situation in college. So I was thankful that the team even gave me a chance, the Cincinnati Bengals, and we made Cincinnati home. But if you talk to a lot of players, just like I did when I played in college, I was able to play in front of my family. They came to every home game there in Los Angeles because they went that far. I guess the only thing that I would see a little different in my professional career is if I had a chance to play closer to my family. And they had a chance to come watch me every week as they did in college. That was the only thing. Because, on the field and everything else, I feel like I gave it everything I had. With my training, with just hopefully the example I set for other players and the work ethic and all of that. But I guess the only thing that I would, if there was something to change, is okay, if I could only play a few years back on the West Coast so they could watch me every week.
Yeah, I could see that being a huge value.
My mom, she was, before we lost her 2 years ago, she had a rheumatoid arthritis for years and years. So it was hard for her to travel. Even though we brought her back to Cincinnati, it was a lot easier, driving 35, 40 minutes to watch me play in college. And that's why I was always fun to play in San Diego and the Chargers down there. When I was playing, the Raiders were in L.A. and the Rams were actually in Anaheim. So that was, 3 teams right there. And then, of course, San Francisco was a little further north. But, the Rams, the Chargers, and the Raiders were real close. They could just drive over and watch.
Now, concerning with all the news about the concussions and everything, would you ever look back and say maybe I should have gone baseball route?
No. Knowing what I know about football, I'd do it again in a heartbeat. I loved it that much. It taught me so much. The relationships. People are constantly asking me about the CTE, the post concussion. I said, well, I feel good, but if you talk to my wife, maybe she'd tell you differently, about
right.
my mental state. No, I do it again. And really, the only thing is because baseball was such a big love of mine. You say, would you do anything different? Maybe if I just had a year to see if I could play either pitch or, that would have probably been the position that I would have tried in the major leagues, just to give it a shot and pitch, because that's what I did at US. The 1 year I played at USC, I was a pitcher in college. But other than that, I feel good about it, and I would do it again.
Yeah, okay.
Mainly because how good the sport has been and the platform and just the experiences and what I've learned, not only about other people working together, but what I've learned about myself, being able to push myself beyond a certain point where you think, maybe I can just get here. No, you can push yourself further than that. So, yeah, knowing what I know even now, I would do it again.
Well, you just gave me a nice little setup. Outside looking in, you're a great guy, you're nice. How do you turn it on from you're the nice guy to you're the freight train coming at him?
NFL football is not your job. That's your profession.
Right.
That's how you're going to provide for your family. So my goal is to play as long as possible and to for job security, because you got to do that. So my job is to protect, the good-looking guy, the quarterback, and make sure that nobody hits somebody clean at the end of the game. My running back, so The game is made to be played physical, to try to dominate the opponent, and that's the way I was taught. I knew that I didn't get a chance to go to college and play at USC, and I didn't get a chance to be drafted by the Bengals being a nice guy on the field. I mean, I knew
right.
off the field, so it's really strange because, I played a position where people say, well, everything's so passive. No, not everything's passive as an offensive lineman. There's times where you wait and react to what they're doing. There's other times where you become the aggressor. You try to dominate. So with that being said, that's how I was trained when I was an offensive lineman, is to physically dominate the opponent. So that's the approach I took, because when I got drafted and came to the Bengals, I wanted to play over 10 years. The only way I was going to be able to do that is if I was able, once I stepped on the field, to be as physical, to be as dominant as possible. So that's, if you meet a lot of offensive linemen, you say, man, those guys are nice. How do they? Well, you realize it's your job, and that's what you have to do.
Let's say someone in our audience wants to do what you do, which I know someone does, play for the NFL. What advice would you give them?
Well, I think the first advice is, taking care of every area of your life. I mean, I think a lot of people think, okay, you show up Sunday and you play. Well, no. The number of hours we spend in the classroom studying is amazing. Studying videotape, studying game plans, studying opponents. So in order to be able to take in and to comprehend, I mean, it takes, as a youngster, really learning how to study. I mean, school becomes very important. So you got the mental part of it. I've seen a lot of guys when I was in the NFL for 13 years that would show up and physically you'd look at them and say, oh, my goodness, this guy is physically gifted. But they weren't able to really comprehend and take in at the speed that we have to once you get into the NFL. Mentally, they couldn't handle it. So the mental part of it is just as important as the physical. So take care of your study habits, school, and then take care of the physical. And you got to be in shape. You got to enjoy working out. You got to enjoy getting your body strong. Better shape you're in, the stronger you're in, the better prepared you're in, the more confident you're in what you're the more confident you are in what you're going to do. So you step on the field. Once you've studied, once you know your opponent, once you know exactly what you have to do through your studying all week, then you can go out there and unleash the physical part of it and be very physical because you have confidence in what you're doing. You're not hesitant. You're not kind of, oh, do I do this or do that? You know exactly what you're doing. So that's the advice I'd give to young people that want to do something like that is make sure that you do things right, that you work hard in all aspects of your life because it carries over.
That's great advice. Well, are there any current projects you're working on that you would like to share?
I believe God has given me a passion and a vision to continue to work with young people, not only here in the Cincinnati area with my foundation, but He's opened the door. We've been working with the NFL the last 7 years, 27 NFL cities with fan development and character development with young people. The Hall of Fame, the last 5 years, we've developed about a handful of programs I've been involved with going across the country doing the same thing. Been in Mexico the last 4 years doing the same thing. So those are the projects. I wake up every morning excited about just seeing how God uses me to hopefully build a team and be part of a team to impact young people.
And as with most journeys, success largely depends on reliable transportation. And I know we talked briefly, but I'm a huge car enthusiast. So if you would, tell us, what was your first car?
So it was after my summer year in high school. I worked as a ramp agent at the Ontario International Airport, and I was able to buy a 65 Chevy Malibu for $500.
That's a nice ride. Was it a 283, 327?
It had a 350 headers, and it had had the front wheels in the back, and you could hear me coming a mile away. So that was my first car going into my senior year of high school.
Wow, that's a great car. Whatever happened to that car?
Well, the Blue Bomb, as we called it, it had to be put away as if you have it. And then I think, my wife and I got married my sophomore year in college. So I think my junior year, back then you could work in the summer, and she had an old. I think it was a 65, what was it? Oh, my goodness, I can picture it right now. I'll remember the name. But I started working in the summer, and I got a 1973 Volkswagen, which was much better on gas.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little tighter, room, with the space. But, with being in college, you needed the economy. So I went with a 73 Volkswagen, and I think I sold or just did away with the 65 now. I think I sold it for pennies. So Yeah, I had it about 3 or 4 years.
Well, do you have a dream car?
It's probably just a nice big SUV. Brand, it doesn't matter. It just has to be black. And then probably a dream car because it's been so long since I've driven a car. I think it's a Mercedes Maybach.
Oh yeah,
I think is the name of it. It's like a boat. It's pretty big. I saw one at a dealership, and I was like, oh my goodness, this thing is roomy and it's huge. I'm sure of course, I didn't test drive it, but I'm sure it's a nice drive.
One great perk to some jobs is a company car. So if I had all the money in the world, I'd love to buy a really cool company car based on your job as an NFL football player. And I feel pretty good about this. Based on everything you just said, I'm feeling pretty good about my choice. If I had all the money in the world, the car I would get you would be a 2019 Mercedes G-Wagon squared 4x4. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, wow. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, that would be nice. And I like different because it looks a lot different than most SUVs. That would be cool if I got it right.
Yeah, so this one is the G-Wagon, the nice big Mercedes Sport Ute, but the squared 4x4 has been lifted 18 inches with flared fenders. And I did this because I figured you're classy, you're a nice guy, you're fast, you're big.
Oh, wow.
And I figured you're a dual threat with the baseball and the football. And this thing can go off-road as well as it can go on-road. So that's the car I would pick for you if I had all the money in the world.
That is awesome. That sounds good.
I'd love to say that was even feasible, but
I know.
So.
That would be great. That would be nice.
Well, thank you so much for taking us on your career journey today. What's the best way our listeners can learn more about you or your foundation?
Well, you can go to MunozFoundation.org, and I'm on Twitter. I'm on the foundation, I'm on Facebook and all this, but I'm on Twitter at Anthony Munoz, HOF. But, so MunozFoundation.org, you can pretty much keep a track of what we have happening here locally in Cincinnati.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for your time today, Anthony.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Great talking to you. It's been fun.
Thank you for listening to Learn from Others, where we help others succeed by sharing success. Where will our next adventure take us? Subscribe to find out. If you know of someone who has a cool career story or occupation, contact Greg through Instagram at Greg Stanley LFO. That's GregStanley LFO. And we will see you soon as we learn from others together.